Hey, welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Internado. The Black Knight Nation podcast is brought to you by Higher Echelon, a company run by Joe Ross, who's a former Army fullback, former Army assistant coach, former Army officer, guest on the Black Knight Nation podcast. Check out our YouTube channel, Black Knight Nation. We have plenty from tonight's Army's big win, 27-24 against UTSA at the Alamo Dome. We're going to get into all the particulars. Larry Pickett was there. He has video. He has photos. He has everything. Seth Mendelson is here. He has the game story that will be put up pretty soon. Check out the YouTube channel. I believe I have the alma mater coming up. So many other videos. Cuthbert from Sidelines Army is here. And guys, you know what? After last week's disappointment against Tulsa at home, you figure it's going to be tough to get a win at UTSA. UTSA has won 25 straight home games against conference opponents. They haven't lost a conference game since 2020. The odds were against Army. So, of course, Army pulled this game out 27-24 and is now bowl eligible. They're going bowling. And just what a win. I guess I'm going to just make something very clear, and I'm going to get to you guys. The players won the game for Army today. Last week, you know, we could go back to last week and say what happened, but the players won this game. They made the plays to win the game today. Sometimes the coaches didn't put them in the best positions today, but the players won this game. And I just want to make that clear. That's my first thoughts. Let's get to Seth Mendelson, and let's get started.
Well, first of all, fantastic win. And I agree the players definitely made the game and won the game. And this is the second time this season we've seen this. After the difficult loss to Tarleton State, they came back and beat a pretty good Kansas State team out there. And this is the same thing that happened here. They could have folded up. They could have went home 5-6 going into the Navy game, not going bowling. And they just reappeared. And it didn't start out that way. The first quarter belonged to UTSA. And after that, they just came alive. I was watching the game with my son, and he even said they're a different team suddenly, and they were. And they remained a different team for most of the game. Well, it got a little scary in the fourth quarter. We all know that. You know, they got the lead back, but good teams win the game at the end of the game, and they did that today. So very impressed with the effort. I think these kids put on a great show, a great effort. They stopped a good team. UTSA is not a great team, but a very good team who plays very well at home. And you know, they held them to 24 points, and they were averaging almost 40 a game. And that's been pretty consistent through the year. So very impressed, very happy for them. Glad to see they're 6-5, going to a bowl game and going in some momentum into the Navy game in 2 weeks.
Real quick before we get Cuthbert's thoughts, UTSA in 3 conference home games before this one had scored 167 points, 55 plus a game. So your good point set to hold them to 24 today. Owen McCown, they kind of held them down. The defense did a great job. Cuthbert, your first thoughts.
Oh boy, let me tell you, after last week's game against Tulsa, hope springs eternal. It feels like it's 2017 all over again. I know that we're only 6-5. I know that this is something of an ignominious record for a team that I know I personally had predicted much bigger things for. But, look, we are deep into the season. We're going bowling. We're 1-0 in CIC games. What do we really have to complain about? What a fantastic game. Jeff Monken mentioned it in his post-game press conference. This is the 8th game of the season that was a one-score game. We are 4-4 in those games. If you can go 500 in games decided by 7 points or less, I think that's probably a win. So absolutely gritty performance to come back the way that we did. I'll tell you honestly. So I had to watch the game on delay. I had some family obligations. And as I'm watching the game, I'm avoiding social media. I don't want to know what's going on. And when UTSA gets that second touchdown in the fourth quarter, I'll tell you sincerely, I was like, well, that's it. That's it. I'm going to watch until we have to go for it on fourth down and we don't convert. And then I'll go ahead and check the box score and be ready for the podcast and blah, blah, blah. Lo and behold, Cale Hellboy Helms, you know what I mean? He steps up. What an absolute incredible finish. that final touchdown pass to Parker Pelosi, I'm sorry we had to go to that well twice. That's the same play, I believe, that we got the 2-point conversion against Tulsa last week. A beautiful play. I love to see it. Unfortunately, now it means Navy is going to be expecting it. But hey, we get to go bowling, so let's not be too critical of the Black Knights.
On that fourth down, on that final touchdown drive, that's a drive where he also completed 2 fourth down, the one to Samari Howard, right? That he's kind of fallen backwards and completes, and the one to Pelosi again, Seth.
Yes, Pelosi had I suppose an 11-yard catch. I just wrote about it. I believe it was 11 yards. He had 2 catches in the game.
They both moved the chains. I mean, at first, when this game starts, guys, I'm like, wait, is Noah Short going to complete more passes than Cale Helms in this game? I mean, I wasn't sure, but Cale Helms in the fourth quarter really showed what kind of, what's his makeup? I mean, he just how would you guys even describe Cale Helms' makeup? I mean, he just, he's a gamer. He is a gamer. Hellboy might be a good, nickname for him. How would you describe Cale Helms' makeup in a winning makeup in that final drive?
Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. I mean, he really does. He just gets up after every play, and it's almost like I have no fear he's going to get hurt, though I worry about it because he's carrying the ball so often. But he does. He just does what's necessary. Very much like Bryson Daly was last year. And the good news is he's coming back next year. He's only a junior.
Well, and I think, too, to speak to your point, Sal, that he's a gamer, when you look at the box score, you see that he only went, in terms of passing, 4 for 10 for 38 yards. At the end of that game, if you told me, without checking a box score, how many completions did Cole Helms have, I would have told you at least 6, maybe 8. Turns out he went 4 for 10, which tells you that when he did complete passes, they were exactly when they needed to be completed. I mean, they were in the exact right moments. And so by the end of the game, I'm sitting here going, this is a fantastic passing display. And I don't want to take anything away from him, but 4 for 10 for 38 and 1 touchdown. This ain't exactly Johnny Football back there slinging it. So, but the point is he made the passes he needed to make when they needed to be made. He is a gamer. He can do it on the ground. He can do it from the air. And I will say my MVP for the game, without question, is Noah Short. Obviously the 80, whatever it was, 81-yard rushing touchdown in the second quarter. I mean, you can't overlook that. But just in terms of his grit and his determination, 14 rushes for 127. He only had 1 catch. Obviously, he had that beautiful pass to the atom bomb. Noah Short, he's showing up. His first year, I couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Real quick, let's get so they snap UTSA's 25-game winning streak in conference games. They're also now 4-0 against UTSA on the road. That's their 4th straight win in the Alamo Dome. It's like, 4 teams have beaten UTSA in the Alamo Dome since 2020. They've lost 5 games UTSA in the Alamo Dome since 2020. Army's won 3 of those 5. I mean, it's just like playing there. And when you're Cale Helms and you're playing in your home state and you have 35 of your family and friends watching you, and there was a story about maybe his brother went to UTSA and the AD didn't even know that Cale was the quarterback for Army, and he took that personally, perhaps. Hey, if you're taking that personally and you want to go on the field and get a win over UTSA and you want to help your team get to a bowl game and get that extra game for these seniors deserve an extra bowl game this season, guys. These seniors have played their tails off. The whole team has, but this senior class deserve better than 6-5 right now. And right now, that 6 win is going to get them the bowl game. And it's going to get them probably a bowl game, hopefully after the holidays. We'll see where they go, Seth. We'll talk about that, and Cuthbert, we can talk about that much later in the podcast. But they really deserve this. Can we get to the comments real quick? Scott's back tonight. Scott's become a regular on the Black Knight Nation podcast. Thanks, Scott. Ven Davis saying players made the plays tonight, period. Awesome. Got more players involved and spread the ball around. Great coaching and execution. Seth, Did I talk about Samari Howard getting the ball a little bit more?
Yeah, we saw that right off the bat.
Seth, do you know, in Cuthbert, I went and looked at this. I couldn't believe it. Samari Howard before today, the whole season, he had 4 carries. 4 carries. And I'm not saying Samari Howard's play today. I mean, just getting different people involved helps a little bit with the offense, right? It's not just Cale Helms running. It's not just Noah Short. They got the B-backs did their thing. The Samari Howard touched the ball. You get Parker Poloski involved in the passing game. You get your Brady Adam Bomb Anderson on a catch, and you're good. Let's see. Short, Mays, Poloski had good games. A nice win for the Cadets, says Scott. We'll get to something else quick too, but let's talk about Jaden Mays. I mean, guys, I can't. Cuthbert and Seth, how close has Army been to interceptions this year, where the ball's bounces off their hands, or they're just maybe not in the right spot? We saw it maybe.
There was one tonight.
Yeah, Colin Madison had a chance, right? We'll talk about Colin Madison's game after Jaden Mays. Colin Madison played it. He was on fire tonight, Colin Madison. Great game by Colin. Jaden Mays' game is simply the game changer. I mean, if UTSA is going down the field to take the lead before the half, at least kick a field goal, and Jaden Mays brings the pick six back 73 yards, and the flag goes off, and I'm saying, great. They got called for a block on the return. No. Quarterback Owen McCown chopped down an Army defensive player. He got the flag. Mays scores a touchdown. Incredible. Talk about it, guys.
Well, I mean, I thought it was a great catch. I thought more important was the run. His run, he just took off, and nothing was going to stop this kid from getting into the end zone. And I think our whole secondary. I'm just looking at the stats here. McCown, who last week had 366 yards passing, was held to 266 yards passing today, 27 for 40. Our secondary came up big. Take out the first quarter where they seemed to be slow. Everything seemed to be like they weren't ready yet. The next 3 quarters, they scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, yes, but it's still the next 3 quarters were well played by everybody. And kudos to the kicking game. Good punts and two field goals by Dawson, and that's great. That's great.
I don't know when the last time we had a defensive touchdown was. I know it's not as though it was 10 years ago, but I don't know.
Last year, maybe? Was
last year we had one last year.
Did we have one last year? Yeah, that was a fantastic play. Sal, you and I were in the exact same position where, he's making cuts upfield and all of a sudden it's flagged down. And I'm thinking to myself, great, we have a block in the back. Best case scenario is we're going to squeeze out a field goal. For some reason, the ref's microphone was not translating on the broadcast, but when it turned out to be a chop block on the offense, I was obviously doing a dance on my end, and it was really a spectacular play. And to speak to the defense more holistically, they scored 3 touchdowns, and every single touchdown they scored was on a passing play. And to be perfectly honest, every single play was well defended. I mean, look, they scored those touchdowns, but in my opinion, they earned them. I mean, it wasn't as though there were no blown coverages, there were no stupid plays. It was just, look, it is what it is. They're on the 12-yard line or the 5-yard line or whatever yard line they happen to be on. If their quarterback can put it in the exact right spot and their receiver can make the play, and it is as well defended as it can be defended, and they still get the touchdown, they deserve it. That's how the game goes. So even though we did give up 3 passing touchdowns, I was very pleased with the fact that we didn't seem to be, at least, making grave mistakes in our secondary. They were playing tight defense. They were playing well. And then obviously, you take back a 70 some odd yard interception touchdown with 2 minutes to go in the half or a minute to go. I mean, that's an absolute game changing play. We have made a little bit of a reputation this year for stealing points right before halftime. Usually it's a touchdown or a field goal. But hey, if it's an interception, defensive touchdown, I'll take it.
Yeah, and Jaden Mays, right? He not only did he have that interception, he was involved on a big fourth down play where they stopped him on fourth down. He was also involved on a third down play right before the fourth down that they didn't get. That Colin Matson batted away, I believe. You're waiting for Jaden Mays to make plays this year, right? He had 4 interceptions last year, and he came up big. He came up big in this game, really big in this game. Colin Madison, 4 pass breakups in the game, and the one that he had in the first half that UTSA had to sell for a field goal, he had a pass breakup in the end zone that prevented a touchdown. That's huge. That's a huge play for Army. That UTSA was looking to get to 14. They only got 10. And, man, big play for Colin Madison. He was everywhere. And, we have to say prayers up to Casey Larkin. Casey Larkin was banged up in the game. Looked like possibly like a concussion, maybe. I can't say what. But he did not come back. But from all what I saw is Casey was urging his defensive players on during timeouts, during when the offense was on the field. He was still in the game. He stayed in the game. He helped Steve Nadozie, who replaced him in the field. And, I mean, that's what you do when you're a senior and when you're one of the leaders on the team, right?
Monk said in the press conference that he suffered double stingers to his arms, and he's fine. Casey Larkin.
Okay. He said he's fine?
He says he's fine. Sounded like he'll be back for the Navy game. He's usually we get a stinger. They usually last for a bit and you're fine. But they were checking him out. The medical team was checking him out on the field. They were worried, but it turns out it looks like it's just a stinger. But he had 2 of them. Usually one stinger you run off the field and you're in pain. 2 of them you're writhing in pain as he was, and they were just concerned about in case it wasn't. But he said he used the term he was fine several times.
Yeah, it was the last question of the post game, and Coach Munkin was very complimentary of the coaching staff, the care that they were taking in really sort of going slow and being methodical. You can't risk anything when it comes to potential head or neck injuries. You don't want to be too quick to roll somebody over, get them off the field. I was watching the game on a tape delay. And obviously I saw the play happen and I thought, oh, this is really too bad. I fast forwarded a little bit and it went to commercial break. And I thought, okay, well, after the commercial break, we'll see what's going on. We come back from commercial break and Larkin has not moved. And I'm thinking, oh boy, this might be a little bit more serious. I fast forward more. There's a second commercial break. And I think I genuinely, I was thinking to myself, they're going to have to bring the cart out. They're going to have to potentially even bring out the ambulance. So to see him get up and walk off the field under his own strength, that was very heartening. And then obviously to hear what Coach Munkin said at the end of the game, obviously he says, oh, he's fine. He's fine. I'm not saying he isn't fine, but, you can get over a double stinger, in relatively short order. But to see that he was up under his own power on the sideline the rest of the game, cheering his team on, that really felt good. And I was very, very happy to see that. Obviously, a great player and an even better guy.
Yeah, great teammate, great player. And looked on TV like Larkin was lobbying Munkin to get back into the game late. Mets, Jets, Army, NYR says, thanks for the comment. Really appreciate it. AJ Fitzpatrick says, great win, was getting nervous after Casey's injury. The defense went into shutdown mode and blew the 2-pass lead after that. Jaden Mays missing a big tackle for loss, but had a great day today. Thanks, AJ, for your comments. Appreciate it. Anybody else with comments, send them our way. We have over 300 people watching right now. We're going to go for a while now. You know what? I wanted to talk about some guys stepping up on defense. They didn't have DeShante's great today on the defensive line. They haven't had Dylan Stowers in the last couple games. And that's defensive line depth, right? And today, Cale Newton, number 97, stepped up and made some couple plays for Army today. He was in the backfield a couple times. He put some pressure on Mr. McCown, and he did a good job. Javon Smith was in the middle of things. Cody Harris-Miller, Jack Bosom, and Jack Latour played well, the starting defensive line. I think Seth, I thought the defensive line put enough pressure on McCown. Did they sack him a lot? No, but they made him hurry a couple throws, I thought. What did you think?
Well, I agree. Also, let's talk about the fact that their starting running back, I think his name was Robert Henry, was held to 62 yards on 13 carries, and he got 22 of them on one play. So there's 12 carries, 40 yards, not so great. This guy has, I think, 600-yard games this year, and he didn't. He was having a tough go, and I think they kept a lot of pressure on McCown. And this guy's a good quarterback. Some people said he was the best quarterback in the league. Didn't seem like it today. Seemed like he was under attack the whole time, and that's why they didn't score 40 points.
Well, something that I've seen in the last couple of games, they did make mention of it on the broadcast. Army has only 10 sacks on the year, which is the lowest in the American Conference, which I think is not a surprise to anyone here that we are not getting a lot of sacks. But I will say the last few games in particular, we've started to see an increase in pressure on the opposing defensive quarterbacks or the opposing quarterbacks. And I understand that, almost or close enough only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. But the fact that that we have been getting pressure on other quarterbacks, I'd love to see more sacks, but even more pressure. I think that helps out our secondary quite a bit. I think we're blitzing more than we were in the start of the season. There was a comment earlier about Jaden Mays that he unfortunately came off the edge on a blitz and potentially could have wrapped up Henderson the third for, a 1 yard loss or a no gain. And instead he skipped to the outside and, went for 20 plus yards. And then that actually ended up setting up an eventual touchdown. But long story short is I was very happy to see the pressure on the quarterback throughout the game. There was a little bit of storm and drang about whether that was a sack or an incomplete pass or a intentional grounding there late in the game. Ultimately, we won, so it doesn't really matter. But those are the exact type of plays that I feel like we're seeing more of, and I think that that speaks to Nate Woody and the adjustments that he's made throughout the season.
Yeah, Eric Ford was credited with that sack that we're talking about, and I thought it was either going to be grounding or it should have been a sack, and the officials missed both of those calls. They had to review it. So Eric Ford did have 2 sacks and 3 quarterback hurries today. So great game by Eric Ford. Give the senior a lot of credit for the game he put up. Defense as a whole, Fortner and Ant Thomas played well. Cornerback play was pretty good. Safety play was pretty good too. And I thought Gavin Shields played a really good game too. I thought Gavin Shields was able to snuff out some screen passes or some short plays to hold UTSA do a little bit less than maybe they could have gone on some plays. I thought Gavin Shields played really well too. We got to get to what a lot of people are talking about on social media, and we had a video on it where there seems to be some not friendly stuff going on between Army and UTSA at the end of the game. You see on the broadcast, the ESPN Plus broadcast, where there's some kind of players pushing, and then Cale Helms would get interviewed. I saw somebody that covers UTSA saying, I guess UTSA has something similar to what Army does with the alma mater, and during the alma mater, during whatever song or thing that UTSA does, maybe Army players weren't, maybe they were talking or something like that, and Jeff Traylor might have told them to say, hey, can you move back so we can do what we usually do in the post game? And I don't know what happened there. We weren't there. We weren't at the Alamo Dome, but there's just I said they're not. These two coaching staffs aren't exchanging Christmas cards at the end of this game. No. Go ahead, Seth.
No, I agree with you. That's what I was going to say. It definitely seems something was going on there. And at the end, they showed Monken looked like he was looking for somebody to shake hands with. And this is a good minute or so after they normally shake hands. So I don't know what it was. It could have shaken. I don't know what would happen there. But I think UTSA expected to win this game. I did. I think they expected to win this game going away, and they didn't. And now, now they're suddenly going to go, instead of being 7-5, they're 6-6, and they lost to Army for the 4th straight time at home. And is it a home with 4th straight time or 4th straight time overall? It's 3 times at home, right?
I think UTSA beat Army in 2022. I could be wrong, but I think
Yeah,
UTSA won at West Point.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think they were shocked by the whole thing, and as they should be. They had the game, they were playing great, and then Army just woke up. And same thing, like I said before, same thing that happened with Kansas State. Quite frankly, you saw it with Air Force too. They came to play, and this is why they won.
Well, Army, we have played them 6 times in the past 7 years. We've only played them 6 times ever, and they've all been since 2019. We are 5-1 against them. You're exactly right, Sal. We lost in 2022 at home in overtime. So that means that Jeff Traylor, who took over at UTSA in 2020, he is 1-4 against Army. This is as close a thing as a rivalry that we have outside, obviously, of Navy and Air Force. And the fact that from the looks of it, we are apparently eating their lunch. I mean, we're talking about the Alamo Dome. They have a 25-game in-conference Alamo Dome win streak. We come in, we end it. This is the 3rd time we've beaten them at the Alamo Dome. They are famously, good at home and hard to beat, and we are coming in there year in and year out. This is only our 2nd year in the conference. That means we've played them 4 times in the past 5 years prior to joining the conference. These teams know each other and know each other well. So it doesn't surprise me at all that things are getting a little chippy. That scrum in the post game, Sal, the video that you were able to put up on Black Knight Nation, there's a lot of kind of chaos going on. I'll tell you from the looks of it, this is my personal interpretation. It appeared like Jeff Monken was trying to, be sort of cooler heads prevail. Hey, let's be above this. It's good to see you. Let's be professional. Meanwhile, Jeff Tractor Trailer, he's having trouble keeping a straight face. You know what I mean? He's mouthing off. It's like, look, listen, UTSA, you do you. Okay, that's all I can say. You do you.
Yeah. It's a good college football game, and for that stuff to happen at the end of it is kind of, you want to just see better. Whether you're not seeing eye to eye on certain post game things, and I saw at the end when Cale Helms, there were UTSA coaches and players, exchanging handshakes and good games and stuff like that. So it wasn't everybody, but it was a certain couple here and there groups and stuff. Here it is too, guys. Now we weren't there, but it just seems like that crowd is almost like a 50-50 crowd when it's at UTSA, because you do have the military base close by. There are a lot of Army fans there. And when Army made plays in the game, you heard a nice reaction for Army. And if you see, we have hopefully our alma mater videos up now, is loading as the podcast went up. You see Jeff Monken, and you saw it during the broadcast, Jeff Monken climb into the stands on the away game. He climbed up into the stands in the away game, pumped his fist for victory, came down, and you don't do that too often. This was a game that Army played hard for, because they need to get to bowl. They need to win this game. They weren't going bowling. Playing for your seniors. You want to get your seniors at bowl game. And they're playing for the troops. There's a lot of people that I know there's people that drove up for this game that are serving right now to watch this game. So they were playing for a lot, and that really showed. AJ saying, I think post-game altercation happened twice. I could be right, AJ. William De Los Santos, thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Nathan Daly saying, you guys think Monken will be a candidate for any open coaching jobs? I'm going to say no. That's just me. Seth or Cuthbert, you want to?
I agree with you. I don't think that.
Not this year. 6-5. I mean, if you follow the team enough, it's been a 6-7 season basically for Army, with all due respect to that crowd, so
it's also a type of offense they play. I mean, very few schools, their fan base is going to say, wow, we got the Jeff Monken from West Point who plays an option offense that really limits the quarterback's passing. I don't think a lot of schools want that. And I think that works against Monken. It must be frustrating to him. But it's you don't see many service academy coaches moving up. to other schools because
Well,
all three of them play the option.
Well, Seth, Drew Cronick, apparently the Army offensive coordinator, turned down the UAB head coaching job.
Okay.
Yeah. So who? I mean, but Cuthbert, we talk UAB. We kind of we have our opinions on the UAB.
UAB. They had 39 guys not playing. They still won. They beat Tulsa. There you go. But 39 players did not play for them today. Anybody know anything about that?
Well, I believe one player just shot another player, stabbed another player in the locker room. Something like that happened. I've been a little disconnected over the holiday weekend, but I think there's a little bit of tumult in that locker room down in Birmingham. To the point of about Jeff Monken, if he does eventually go somewhere, which he very well may, I do not see it happening this year. We know that last year he interviewed at multiple places, including UNC. I believe he might have also interviewed at West Virginia. In years past, he's also been interviewed for other, Power 4 schools. Listen, when you hear what he says in interviews, he is perfectly aligned with the mission of the Service Academy. He is an old school football coach. He doesn't appear to be interested in the quasi-professional football that is existing right now in the NCAA, where players are getting paid, and NIL and the transfer portal. That being said, he is a professional with ambitions and goals. And if somebody comes around and says, "Hey, we want to fill our 95,000 person stadium every week with you at the helm, and we're going to double your salary," I wouldn't be shocked if he were to accept that. And I would not hold it against him either, as much as I would hate to see it, because if it were up to me, I would be backing the Brinks truck up to keep Jeff Monken at Army until he is done. That being said, I sort of cynically am happy to see that we follow last year's historic season with a little bit of a rebuild year. So that way it kind of cools the temperature on other teams potentially trying to poach him. Is a very cynical view, I know. But, and look, maybe he's just giving lip service and giving good interviews. But when you hear him talk and you hear him talk about what the academy means, and these are athletes, but they're more than athletes. They're students, and they're more than students. They are officers in training. He seems to understand the ethos of the academy. He seems to be bought in. It aligns with him. And if you tell me that he's going to go to Penn State or Virginia Tech or West Virginia or wherever to go and try and coach a bunch of guys who are trying to elbow their way into a $150,000 NIL deal instead of a $145,000 NIL deal, and 2/3 of them are going to be hitting the transfer portal the first week of December, I'm not sure how interested in that he is. If it's up to me, he stays at Army until he retires, and in 25 years, we call it, Mikey Monken Stadium, and there's a statue to him outside. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying I would love for it to.
Well, as my 28-year-old son says, and both my boys are really into college sports. Right now, it's my dog playing ball.
We're going to have to mute you, Seth.
Okay, hold on. Mickey, stop. As he said, sorry, guys. Hey, it's live TV.
It's live TV, baby.
As he said, he goes, the bottom line is, who do you bring with you? The James Madison, the guy at Indiana came from James Madison, and he brought kids with him. Army, you can't do that. You can't bring kids with you from West Point. Now, he's not a lot.
That's true.
And that certainly plays. I don't see a lot of schools with 95,000 people in the stands saying, let's get Jeff Monken, not because he's a good coach or bad coach, but because of his where he is now, what the offense he runs, and what he can bring immediately, because everybody wants immediate results, like we saw at Indiana last year and again this year.
Yeah, and I think after a 12-2 season, and maybe there weren't openings last year that were attractive enough or fit right. After a 12-2 season, if he's still coaching at Army, so we'll see. It has to be the right fit, like you guys said. It would have to be for now. He's got Army 6-5 in a season that's been so uneven and went one way or another so many times, that, the fact that they're going to the bowl game. But again, as I started the podcast, I will say it. The players win this game. The players got them to this bowl game. And you know what? There were some things that happened in the first half where, again, I'm shaking my head. I have no idea why we're calling these plays. I have no idea why on a 3rd and 1, you're lining up in the shotgun, getting no yards. On a 4th and 1, the next play, you're lining up in the shotgun again and getting no yards. I have no idea why you try a double reverse when you have the lead in the second half and get minus 12 yards, and then that drives out the window. You have to punt on that drive. I mean, there's some really good play calls in this game, and there's not so good play calls in this game. And, the players battled through it. They made the plays when they needed to. Cale Helms throws the 4-yard touchdown pass, and let's get the stat out there. It's the first touchdown pass by a true Army tight end, Parker Poloski, since 2008 when Mike Evans caught a touchdown pass. And that's when Army was throwing the ball a little bit more. They were playing, that's Stanbrock's second year. So they went back to a little bit more of a triple option in Stanbrock's second year with Colin Mooney. But still, that's the last time a true tight end caught a touchdown pass. In 2023, Tyson, remember Cuthbert in the Army-Navy game? Tyson Riley lines up outside wide, and they throw a quick goal line pass to him for a touchdown. Tyson Riley played tight end, but was mostly a running back for Army. So
well, and also that was not a designed play. That was they came to the line of scrimmage, saw that he was uncovered, and called an immediate audible, knowing that there would be no blockers downfield because they were on the 1-yard line. A fantastic pull by you, by the way, Sal, to pull that play out. Look, in this game, Army was 3 for 14 on 3rd down, which, to be quite frank, is completely unacceptable. But when you balance that with going 4 for 5 on 4th down, and the 4th down we didn't convert was the first 4th down of the game. I'll tell you, when that, we had the opening drive, it was, we got a 1st down, we punted, they score a touchdown. Second drive, single 1st down, then we punt, they go down, they get a field goal. 3rd drive, we try to convert on 4th down, we don't convert, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this is it. It's been a good season. God bless. Hopefully Navy makes the conference championship, so we've got an extra week to prep for them. So to come back the way that we did, this really does, and I think I said this a few weeks ago on the podcast, maybe after the Temple win, this is feeling for me much more like a 2015, 2016, 2017 year where we are the plucky underdogs. And yes, we're not getting 9 wins or 10 wins. We're only going to be getting 6 or 7, but they're gritty victories, and we are sort of building a team. When you think about what we were able to do in 15, 16, and 17, that's what led to us in 18, 19, and 20 getting 9-win, 10-win, 9-win seasons. It feels like that's where we're in right now. And I know that we're going to be graduating a lot of really great guys this year. Noah Short, some guys on the offensive line. But when you look at the playmakers on the team, so many of them are coming back. I'm disappointed that we only have 6 wins this year, but I'm also thinking to myself, we are going to have a much more difficult schedule next year, as already released by the American Conference. And looking at who's coming back, the experience that they're going to have, provided Monken isn't, coaching whatever, at some other school, it's like, I think we are setting ourselves up nicely.
Well, you also have to look at what the American is and what's going on with the American. You have some coaches leaving. You have Tulane coaches moving on. You might have other coaches moving on. And also a lot of these kids, the better players, do go into the SEC or maybe the Big Ten and get picked off by other schools. So that's the way this league is set up. It's a transitional league. It's a league that it's probably the fifth best league. So it's getting players from the leagues that are worse than they are, not as good as they are, and they can spend more money in this league. But they're losing players to those three or four top conferences, and that's going to continue on. And for Army and Navy, they don't lose a lot of players. I mean, I'd be shocked to see who leaves. It has to be a sophomore, probably a sophomore, freshman. I'd be shocked to see how many of these kids leave. Like last year, we lost a couple.
Yeah.
A few, right? What was 5, 4, 5?
Yeah, no. Sometimes I think, imagine if this team had Ella Madozi, had Kanye Udo, and had Donovan Platt. I think we're talking about another American Conference Championship game berth. I really do, because that you're missing these tight games that you're in. But it is what it is. They figured out a way to get bowl eligible, and Seth, you're right. I don't know who they're. There's not really a lot of freshmen and sophomores playing so much this year. Right. So you don't really have that much tape. I mean, they did this without Paulo Generali for the second straight game, right?
Without Grace Bartosh for the second straight game.
Yeah, he's missed a couple. And so they were missing some guys, Army, and they found a way. So credit to them. Real quick, I want to get some comments. And guys, really appreciate all the comments tonight. We got a great showing here. Thanks for joining us. Scott saying the double reverse was a knucklehead play, but he wanted to give credit to James Wagenseller. And James Wagenseller bailed Army out a couple of times with some really good punts. It's great to be punting indoors in a dome too, right? That had to help a little bit. And he had some really punts that got Army out of trouble. They were pretty deep in their territory, helped shift the field position a bit. And so James Wagenseller had a really good game. And like Seth, I think you mentioned Dawson Jones with 2 field goals. I think that gives him 12 on the year. I think Quinn Moretsky in Quinn's last year had 12 field goals. And then you have to go back to like Alex Carlton in I looked this up, 2010 on that Armed Forces Bowl team had 15 made field goals. So if Dawson Jones makes another field goal in these next 2 games, he'll have the second most field goals by an Army kicker since 2010. That says a lot. That says a lot from the start.
He started slow, and we were worried about him right early on, but he's come on like gangbusters, and he's done a great job for the team. He really has.
Only a sophomore too, so I mean, and today when they need to get the field goals 27, 37 yards, he booted them. I still say go back to Tulsa, boot that 43-yarder, but that's old news. So anything else you guys want to bring up from the game? Any other points you guys had before we maybe talk? We can talk bowl again. Last week we couldn't talk bowl. This week we can talk bowl. Now we can officially talk bowl. But anything else from the game you'd like to point out before we talk some bowl stuff?
I just want to say this was not a suffocating Army victory that we have come to expect and that we have seen so many times. It felt to me like we really only had 2 sort of Army drives. One led to a field goal, and then obviously that last touchdown to take us up. Our other scoring plays were 81 yards from Noah Short, and then obviously Jaden May's interception return for a touchdown. So, I was speaking earlier to this feeling more like sort of the 2016 where the plucky underdogs overperforming season. And I have to say that I think this game fits that metaphor perfectly. You know what I mean? This was not as soon as we touched the ball, we absolutely, this was not Kansas State where we did a meticulous ground and pound. They couldn't stop us. Conservative play calling, and we eke out the victory. This game was by no means, in hand at any point until we got that last touchdown pass to Pelosi. So I just think that if you can go back and watch the game, watch the final knee that we took to end the game, and look at Jeff Monken's face as he runs out onto the field, the elation, the relief, just the pure joy that he has. And I don't think it's because we beat UTSA, this sort of newly developed secondary rival. I think it's because as we were talking about, the seniors on this team, how hard they played. He said it in his post game. The players won this game. He was so happy for them. We are going to a bowl game now. We may only have 6 wins, but we are 1 win away from a bowl game, more hardware in the trophy case, and we are 1 more win away from the CIC.
Yeah, Barry Kenny saying it's been a season of resistance. Glad to see them turn a bad loss to a great win. And like we say, with the offense, they really got different people involved today. Noah Short, like you said, the MVP of the game. On the defensive end, I'd probably go with Jaden Mays, with Kyle Madison, a very close second. I don't know how you feel, Seth.
Well, I thought our linebackers did a pretty good job today again, too. I was impressed with what they were. We have 2 senior linebackers. We're going to be losing them to graduation. But I thought they kept the game in hand there. They kept everything nice and steady. So, they're both captains, and they play like captains today. So, I mean, again, I give credit to the entire defense. I thought they held the line against a good quarterback, and they had 4 great receivers, plus a great tight end, and a running back who has, as I said, 600-yard games in 11 before today, and they held him in check. So, kudos to everybody on defense, and the offense came through when they had to.
Seth, go ahead, Cuthbert.
One more little bit of trivia. Not only did Jordan Mays intercept McCown.
Jaden Mays.
Jaden Mays, excuse me. I'm sorry, not Jordan. You're right, Jaden. It was the first interception he had thrown in the Alamo Dome, I believe, in his career. So a nice little another streak broken by the Black Knights.
Absolutely.
We had 3 of them.
Go ahead, Seth.
No, we had 3 of them today. We had the first interception return for a touchdown. First interception by him, and of course the tight end catching the touchdown pass.
Good stuff. William De Los Santos, thank you for watching. We really appreciate you. Seth, did you catch the Yale-Youngstown State game by any chance?
I watched the end of it with my son, and we were very excited to see Yale win. A little bit of an upset there. More of an upset is that the Ivy League, who this is their first year playing in the FCS championship, they put 2 teams in. Harvard and Yale are both in. Pretty impressive. And Lehigh from the Patriot League is seeded 5th, and they got a bye.
There you go. Ben Davis, bowl bound. Congratulations. Now we could talk. We have the extra game. Wow, we get in some comments here. NY Adirondacks. Shout out to Army Hockey for upsetting UMass tonight. I believe it was 5-4. It could be wrong. Ranked UMass. 5-4. Yeah. Good win for Army Hockey.
Great win.
And Army men's basketball beat Marymount in
2
overtime.
in a row. Cuthbert, 2 in a row after losing to East Texas A&M earlier this week.
I'll tell you, I know this isn't a basketball podcast. I've made some bold predictions about what I think Coach Kevin Kuick is going to do with the men's basketball team. We started off shaky this year, but listen, Ryan Curry, Big Red, he's leading us to victory. All right, I'm all in for Black Knights basketball.
He's the cousin of a family friend, so I root for him too. He's a New Jersey kid, and he's a junior now, and he's a tough kid. He's a tough kid.
And I'm sorry to say that nickname. I do not know if that's a nickname of his. I do not want it to catch on. I can only assume he's been hearing that his entire life. And if he's listening to this podcast, which I'm sure he isn't, I just want to apologize to him personally, because I do love Army basketball, and I'm a big fan.
Let's see what they can do once Patriot League play starts. Scott wants to know, how do we go about beating Navy? We're going to have probably a podcast on that. We're probably going to get together before the Army-Navy game and preview that game. Defense is going to have to play the best game of the season.
Defense.
Yeah, the Navy offense can go. I mean, they have a lot of weapons. They have 4 or 5 different guys that can really beat you with big plays, and a quarterback that is really good. I mean, he's really, really good. We saw it last year in the Army-Navy game. And if they got a couple weeks to prepare, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be Army's hardest game of the season. It's probably going to be the best team that they played all year. I would say Navy, right, Seth? Is going to be probably
absolutely. Navy's senior-laden team. They got a lot of seniors on there who start, who play, it's going to be a very tough game to win. But you know what? You got 2 weeks now to figure it out, and let's hope our offensive. We come up with some good strategies to beat these guys. They do it. Navy did it last year. They came in and they threw out their playbook and came up with a whole different one, and that's why they won. And now it's our turn.
Well, and let's not forget either that the backup quarterback at Navy, Braxton, what's his last name? Woodson, yes. He's very one-dimensional, but he's one-dimensional the way Usain Bolt is one-dimensional, and he is not easy to bring down when he comes into the game. I would love to do an Army-Navy preview game, podcast. That game is going to fall, in my opinion, 100% on the defense. And to the comment from William De Los Santos about Army-Navy and the uniform battle, yes, once again, Army wins. I will say, listen, I do think the Navy uniform does look good this year. It's a little busy, in particular on the back and the front. There's a few too many patches, a few too much, accoutrement going on. And if we can get away from these airbrushed helmets, they look ridiculous. That being said, I think Army would have done better to have their helmet be a little more silver, maybe have some silver pants, maybe use the script from the tombstones of Arlington Cemetery. But look, don't ask me. I was not advised as to the jersey. That being said, it does look better than Navy's.
It sells a lot of jerseys. So both of these teams sell a lot of jerseys. This is what they're doing it for. So people, jerseys and helmets. I'm going to buy my miniature helmet. I guarantee it for Army.
Hey, next time, real quick. Next time, Tom Diodakis needs to ask Cuthbert for his advice on the uniforms for next year. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead,
just give him my name, okay? With my email address, it's just my name at hotmail.com. Sal, I trust you to give it to him. You tell Ted, you call me up, all right? I got all the inside scoops.
Tom appeared on the press conference day for a brief moment, and so it was good to have him there. He thanked the press for being there. He always does. He's a real good guy, Syracuse grad. Got to get Syracuse in there, and he's a good guy to deal with. I really enjoy talking to him, and he always gets me at the basketball games a couple extra chocolate chip cookies. So I appreciate that. Turning over to the bowl games before we go. We should talk about the bowl games.
Go ahead. After the game, friend of the podcast, Ken Kreitzer, said that he was interviewing with A.D. Theodorakis, and A.D. is saying that we should get an announcement this week as to what our bowl invitation would be. It's all the same to me. I just want a big payout and a P4 team. So long as we get those two things, I'll be a happy camper.
So I did a little bit of homework, and I talked to some friends at a major network that does a lot of bowl games. And there are 41 bowl games that don't include the teams that make the championship, the series, the 12 teams. Army will not be going to any of the games between December 13th, when we play Navy, and December 19th. So that's 7 games, or 6 games. It's too soon after the Navy game, so take it out. And then what basically happens is they're going to try to place Army with a team that makes sense to get viewers, to get people to view. And the 3 bowls that seem to be the most likely, according to what I'm told, is the Fenway Bowl, the Armed Forces Bowl, and the Military Bowl. Military Bowl, I believe, that's the one played at Navy, right?
Yeah. And Seth, real quick, I don't think that Army will ever play a game at Navy Stadium.
That's what I'm about to say. That, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Seth,
I agree with you. I think the Military Bowl makes no sense for Army or Air Force to play their games there. Air Force is not in this year. So my guess is the Armed Forces Bowl, which is in Texas, will draw some Army supporters. The Fenway Bowl, and 2 people have told me about Clemson being the team they want to pit them against, which would be really interesting. I think Clemson is 7-5 now, or 6-6. So not having an off year. But it looks like an ACC team would probably be the most likely team for Army if they play in an Eastern time zone game. If they play a Central time zone game, it'd probably be a Big 12 team. As somebody just wrote, no Louisiana Tech. We're all hoping for that. We're hoping that Army doesn't get messed over again.
There.
So yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. Army should know probably, but they're not going to tell us. But they should probably know who they're playing against by Tuesday or Wednesday. I wouldn't be shocked.
They got that 13th game now, and it's something that if it's a Fenway Bowl, Seth and I may be taking that trip up to Fenway.
December 27th should be nice and warm up there. And by the way, the press booth is not inside, so we'll be freezing our tails off.
It'd be fine. I like to see that game. We'll see what happens.
So
here's Seth Mendelson's bowl predictions for the Black Knight Nation podcast: Clemson versus Army at the Fenway Bowl, or Army versus a Big 12 team at the Armed Forces Bowl. Maybe a Baylor, maybe somebody like that. Throwing a Baylor, maybe
a 7-5, 6-6 team. Probably you're looking at. When I say Clemson, I think it'll be an ACC team. I'm being told that Clemson is the leading team for it, but I think you'll see an ACC team in the Fenway Bowl. I think they're locked in. Actually, it is ACC versus American. So, and then it could be Wake Forest. I think they have 6 wins. Duke is probably better, but we'll see what happens. But I truly hope that we do play a group of 4, the top 4 conference team, as opposed to Louisiana Tech or somebody like that, because we have a lot to say. So,
another note in the TV broadcast, I saw American Conference Commissioner Tim Pernetti at the game, at the Army UTSA game today. Who knows what that means? Just there to watch a good American Conference game, but I don't know if maybe there's some talk with him and Tom Theodorkis, on the game, on what bowl game it might be. So we'll see. Maybe Theo and Pernetti were talking during the game. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Guys, really appreciate you. We have almost 600 people watching this podcast right now. Great numbers. Great win for Army. 27-24 over UTSA. Bowl bound. They're going bowling. Like we said, maybe Fenway Bowl, maybe Armed Forces Bowl, but they'll definitely be a 13th game for the Black Knights. 2 weeks to go till Army Navy in Baltimore. Seth and I will be there covering that game. So we hope that Army will be as healthy as it can be for that game. We hope that Casey Larkin, like Seth said, should be fine after this game. Maybe Army can get Paolo Generali back too on the offensive line, and maybe Briggs Bartosh for the backfield. That'd be great. We'll go over that. We'll be back and talk about that stuff probably the Sunday before the Army Navy game. We'll get together and talk about that. Thanks a lot, guys. We thank Cuthbert for Sidelines Army back with us. Great insight. Seth Mendelson providing his great insight and knowledge. And for the Black Knight Nation podcast, I'm Sal Interdonato. Thank you for watching tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Good night. Go beat Navy.
Beat Navy.